What's up, guys? Today we're going to be having a look at some pretty nasty video game box art from various regions. But we're going to stick to this previous console generation, so it's going to be all Xbox 360 and PS3 stuff. I didn't branch out into the PC games at all because I know there's some pretty bad stuff out there. Uh, and we'll start off here with AFL Life 2. Now, I want to start here. First of all, it's nice in alphabetical order and all that, but also I just wanted to make a disclaimer that I'm not going to add any sports games other than this one. And I'm sure you can already see what's terrible about it. You wanna get a sports person, somebody who's pretty popular in that sport at the time the game is released, and you want to get a photo of them while they're playing the sport, right? The sport in question here is Australian rules football, which is a mix of rugby and an Irish sport called Gaelic football. Um, I've never watched too much of it, so I don't know who this guy is. I don't know what his deal is. But this is the problem with so many sports game covers, is that you get a photo of a sports person and they always look dumb. It's not his fault. It's it's not the cameraman's fault. It's difficult to get a good sports photo, you know, where he's not doing something super complicated or he's surrounded by people to get a good photo, a clean photo of this dude. It's difficult, and he looks, not his fault again, but he just he looks silly, all right? And I don't know about the game. Again, we're not making comments on the games. We're just saying about this art. It's difficult to do sports game covers, so we're gonna let this one somewhat slide. But yeah, this one has been. I think I'd assume it's only released in Oceania. So if you're in Europe or the United States, you're not gonna have a chance to play this one unless you import it. I mean, this is the PS3 cover, and the PS3 is obviously region free, so whatever. Next up, we have Black Site Area 51. This is another problem with a lot of video game covers, is they tend to show us people, right? You want to get the character, you want to get the enemy or the protagonist and the antagonists. If you can get them both on the cover, that's dandy, and you want to show what they're about. So you got this good guy looking at the camera. Or, you assume he's a good guy, it's a military guy. He's got his gun and he looks ready, but he's obviously not very good. He's faced away from the enemy, and I mean, in even the alien in the back looks perplexed. Like, dude, I'm over here. There's meteors falling. This town is on fire, and this dude cannot resist this photo opportunity. He has to look at the camera, and that's I don't know. I don't know. Interestingly, though, this is the European version, the PAL version of the game, and they got it right. Here, they're actually not, looking at the aliens. They're firing at them. They're doing what they should be doing. And interestingly enough, it's just called Black Site in PAL territories, whereas the other one was called Black Site Area 51, the NTSC version. So, yeah, this next one here is Dark Messiah Might and Magic Elements, and this is the NTSC version. The PAL version actually had an okay cover, and this one isn't absolutely terrible. I just I just think it's a weird decision to put just a random enemy. As far as I know, this dude isn't the main antagonist. Just a random orc. And I'm sure it's been done before, but he looks dumb. Look at the fire effect on his goddamn club. What use does the fire serve in the first place? And second of all, why would you put it there if it looks so goddamn terrible? I mean, you got the ship in the background. What the fuck is that about? It's just a ship. It's just there. Like, yes, there are parts in the game where you're on a ship. I don't think the ship's sailing. I think it's in port, and you just get onto the ship. But what? Why is it there? Why not just have a tree? You know, a house, a castle. I- What, like this isn't a voyaging game. This isn't a game where you're on a ship for most of it. This is an Assassin's Creed Black Flag, where there's a focus on ships. No, it's just an orc in front of a ship. It tells you nothing about the game. You know, it's, yeah, it's an odd decision. Uh, Next we have Deadfall Adventures. Everyone on this cover has no idea what's going on. You got this conquistador on the bottom left here, which I think actually strangely makes sense. I guess it suggests that they're raiding Aztec. Uh, does Aztec make sense? Yeah, I think Aztec makes sense. Uh, Raiding some sort of Aztec ruins, and you have zombie conquistadors. So whatever. But this zombie conquistador is so interesting that the zombie on the bottom right doesn't even look at the guy who's shooting him in the head. Instead, he chooses to look at this conquistador in his silly helmet. And I mean, the two protagonists, they are perplexed by what's going on. The guy obviously has a shoot first, ask questions later policy because he has no idea what he's shooting at. I mean, the dude's not even looking at him. And the girl in the background, she's just worried because of some sort of tablet she has in her hands, and there's a zombie monkey, and nobody's sure what's going on. This was just a weird paparazzi photo from the zombie perspective. I have no idea what's going on. Not a great cover. Not terrible art, but just looks silly. Dirt Showdown. Now, yeah, this one, again, not a terrible cover, just factually annoying. This is the same cover everywhere. I know this is the NTSC version that you're seeing now, but the PAL version was the same. Trust me. It it as somebody who has somewhat of an interest in cars, not necessarily car sports, but just cars. It hurts. It hurts to see a Gymkhana class Ford Focus right there on the front in a destruction derby. There, there are cars crashing. These are cheap cars, something you take in and you just reverse into motherfuckers with, right? That's the point. They're supposed to be cheap. They're supposed to be easy to fix. They're supposed to be, take out all the glass because you don't want glass crashing and killing you. You want to be careful, right? You want to have you want some weight on it, but not too much weight. Again, I don't know too much about destruction derby, but you certainly do not want a Gymkhana class Ford Focus. Like, yeah, I mean, again, you want to show that, yeah, we're bringing back Destruction Derby in this game, and we're going to use this Ford a lot as a promotional car, but Jesus, don't put them in the same place. They do not belong in the same place. It annoys me. And I guess it annoys me so much because it's made by Codemasters who I think like cars, right? And I think they know. I think they just made a silly decision with this whole game. Just next, Fatal Inertia. This is the PAL version. This is the one that I saw. I don't know. I don't know. I hope that they had different covers in other territories. But this is the most boring fucking cover ever. Generally, I have no idea what's going on. It's some sort of wipeout type shit, flying from left to right, and there's a forest in the background. Uh, Light streaming through the foliage. I I mean, no, I really don't understand what's going on. This is supposed to be a race, but you're not conveying any of that to me. It looks like that scene from Star Wars with the dudes on the bikes. I'm not a Star Wars fan. I'm not gonna get into detail, but that's the first thing that it reminds me of. It just looks so boring, looks so lifeless, so dull. The vehicle itself, if we can call it a vehicle, it doesn't inspire anything. And if I remember correctly, the game itself actually looked a bit better. It was actually just uh, an interesting take on the Wipeout thing. Not Wipeout, or is it Wipeout? No, Wipeout is a different thing. I think I may have mixed it up. Uh, you know what I'm talking about, the one with the floating cars, right? But yeah, this is just a boring cover. Don't do this. Add something. The font is wrong. It doesn't make sense. Please, Koei. Oh, well, you're Tecmo Koei, and I guess Tecmo should take over the covers from here on out. All right, Field and Stream. This is an Xbox 360 exclusive. I think it's also an NTSC exclusive. Um, and this one has some nice art. Some well drawn animals. It just suggests it's just an odd story. You see the hunter, Rush Limbaugh. We'll call him Rush Limbaugh. I mean, I don't want to annoy anyone, but that's what we'll call him. So he fell asleep the previous night. He was out after a long day of hunting. He killed tons of animals, of course. He's good. He's good at what he does. And he fell asleep behind a rock. He was tired, and he was like, "I'll get up early. I'll catch the animals while they're not aware. They're going out to feed in the morning. I'll get them right there and then." Unfortunately, behind his back, the animals have been planning. They've all got together in their little animal council, their woodland council, and they've planned to get up on this guy, right? Get him while he's unawares. And they try to ambush him in the morning, right? All of them, what is it, 6 of them, 7 of them? They all try to get him in the morning. So he wakes up, first thing he sees is a mountain lion trying to give him a high five, right? You got the wolf who's just looking angry. You got a bear with his "a what's up" head on. I don't know what the bear is doing, but he looks like he's gonna go and swipe. There's a moose or an elk in the back. Um, Forgive me for my animal identification, but he's not doing shit. Uh, and the hunter, he's got a shotgun, but he's not aiming at any of the dangerous animals, any of the animals that pose a real threat to his life. Instead, he chooses to aim at the fucking bird flying in the opposite direction, not in the opposite direction, but he's flying on the wrong axis. He's not flying towards him, right? He's just there to scare him. So he's aiming at the least threatening animal there. So he's dead. I guess that's the total outdoorsman challenge. Civil War, a nation divided. Um, this one's quite interesting. So again, I think this one has a story behind it. Okay, you have to imagine the front lines. First of all, I don't know why they're that close. I don't think the cannons are really that effective when you're at that sort of range. But it would be a boring cover if they were really far apart, right? If actual distances that cannons operated at are boring. So you got this, I assume, a Union soldier on the right here. Um, he'd been training for years, and the Civil War broke out, and of course he joined the Union. Uh, his brother had actually moved to Nashville, Tennessee, a few years prior. I hope Nashville was part of the Confederacy because this isn't not going to work if I'm wrong. But his brother had moved there, and he was just hoping when he joined the Union, the war broke out, that his brother wouldn't. He just he'd come back to where he lived, back to the Union. And unbeknownst to him, he actually joined the Confederate Army. Uh, and on this particular morning, the Union brother, he woke up, and he heard a battle raging outside. Basically, he got dressed, he got his shit on, and he got going. Right, he went from the back of the army, he went right to the front. Snuck through, right to the front lines. And I don't know, for a reason unbeknownst to me, he snuck past the cannons, in front of the cannons, which should be the front line. So I don't know, dude was trying to be Sam Fisher or something. But he got up to the opposing trenches, and once he looked up, he saw the barrel of a gun right in his face. And he looked down the barrel of the gun, beyond the barrel of the gun, and he saw his brother's eyes. He saw his brother's eyes. He was just about to shoot him. What the fuck is this cover? I I don't understand why they're that close, right? It's just a really weird scene that has no historical accuracy behind it. And this is done by the History Channel, so you'd assume they know something, but I guess this, proves otherwise. And then we have Civil War secret missions, which has the same problem of having the battle rage way too close. Even if it's motherfuckers using swords, the swords were a last resort. This dude, on the right doesn't even appear to have his eyes open, right? And he doesn't appear to have a gun. So yeah, maybe I guess if he never had a gun, he better just run and get himself killed. But what's most interesting about this is that when they were trying to make the sky texture, they ran out of money. However, they did have money for the Declaration of Independence texture, so they used that instead. This is a silly cover, not as bad as the previous one, but yeah, I think all these Civil War covers are a bit weird. Resident Evil Operation Raccoon City. Again, it's the same problem of motherfuckers facing the wrong way. Right, yeah, sure you've got a zombie. I don't know why you've taken him as a hostage. I don't think zombies respond to hostage threats, but that's okay. Maybe there's a zombie over towards the right. Maybe there's a zombie over towards the left, like the lady behind you seems to be suggesting. There's another guy behind her who's looking off into what seems to be just a wall, because from the background it kind of seems like they're in some sort of alleyway. And the third dude, yeah, he must be looking at a wall. I don't think there's anything that can be there. But I don't know. Maybe, one of the TVs in the stores is still on and he's watching some good TV. And the dude behind him is actually looking at a menacing dude who just walked from the fire. He seems to be the most pertinent threat right now, but nobody seems to be paying attention to him. And maybe that's why they're all going to die. This is a weird cover. It has a little bit lack of a focus, maybe is the main problem here. They wanted to show, too many things in too small a space. Just as a sort of bonus, this is the back of 2009's Wolfenstein. At least I know for a fact this is the PAL version. I'm not sure about if other territories had the same back cover, but this really annoyed me. So you see BJ Blazkowicz, and he's holding what is very obviously a M1A1, M1A1, I think, Thompson. It was the World War II version of 1928 typewriter, which was the the one that you always see in a violin case or whatever. It was a modified version of that, basically. And interesting weapon with an interesting history. I don't know too much about weapons, but this one definitely has some history and has some chops in World War II. Arguably the main weapon on the back cover, and there's no weapons on the front cover. So when you look at this is the first weapon you see, and you assume you're going to be mowing down some Nazis, right? And yes, you do mow down Nazis, but not with a Thompson. At any point in the game, do you get this gun? It's baffling. Maybe, I guess that's what it's supposed to be is, oh, before this whole thing happened, BJ was a World War II guy, and he had a Thompson. But in this game, at no point does he pick one up, and it's dumb to put it on there if it's not in the game. That's just a suggestion, but it annoyed me. I think that's about it for this episode. This is just a few games, a few of my ramblings, and I'm sure there are plenty more, especially with I've ignored so many other generations and consoles and everything. But if you have any, please let me know. I'd love to see other people do videos of a similar kin. If you want to, do a full response. Of course, responses aren't possible anymore. But yeah, no. Let me know what you guys think, and I'll see you next time.